Hello, and welcome to the Better Learning Leadership Conference. I'm Bobby Seagull, TV personality and author. I'll be with you over the next few days to give you a flavour of Cambridge by taking you on some short virtual tours around the city. Today, I'd like to show you around the beautifully famous Cambridge Botanic Garden, situated in the centre of the city. This is one of my favourite places to visit, a perfect setting to escape for some tranquility. Cambridge University Botanic Garden is a 40-acre site on the edge of Cambridge city centre. It is home to a collection of over 8,000 plant species from all over the world. Plants grown in the garden are from the UK, Europe, Australasia, America and Asia. All of the continents are represented in the flora. The garden grows such a diverse range of plants and holds plants that are threatened with extinction because it is trying to anticipate the needs of people who are doing scientific research with plants, as well as to prevent species from becoming extinct. All around the world, there are plant researchers thinking about big problems like global food security, conservation of biodiversity and habitats. And these researchers need to get hold of plant material to look at how the plants work. Members of the public come to the garden to see exceptional horticulture and enjoy the beautiful landscapes, as well as plants they might not see elsewhere. The Botanic Garden, where we stand today, is not the original Botanic Garden. This site was founded and opened in 1846. Prior to that, Cambridge had a botanic garden in the centre of town that was more of a physic garden. Associated with universities, physic gardens were designed to support medical students learning how to use plants as treatments. Here in Cambridge, we have something a bit different thanks to John Stevens Henslow, a professor of botany at the University of Cambridge from 1825. He was convinced that plants were worth studying in their own right and that we had a lot to learn from them. Henslow persuaded the university he needed a much bigger site to grow trees and plants representative of the diversity of the plant kingdom. That is why the garden moved to where we are today. Today, the garden has a western half and an eastern half. The western half is the part that Henslow laid out. The university bought the whole site, but didn't invest the money to actually develop the eastern half until the 1950s. The garden was designed by Andrew Murray, the garden's first curator, working under Henslow, and it was really innovative for the time. There is only one straight line, the main walk, in the whole garden, as Henslow mainly laid it out in curves. Henslow planted trees all the way around the outside of his curving path. Those trees are laid out in family groups because he wanted people to understand the relationships between the plant species. The eastern half has a different feel. It is laid out to show scientific thinking and has areas that highlight plant science research and different growing environments, as well as demonstration gardens such as the winter garden, scented garden or dry garden. Henslow is famous for teaching Charles Darwin. Yes, that Charles Darwin. He taught him how to identify and observe plants. It was Henslow who was asked to nominate a naturalist to go on the voyage of the Beagle. Darwin went on that journey and saw the Galapagos wildlife, and the rest, as they say, is history. It is interesting to think about the conversations that Henslow and Darwin had in this very garden regarding variation in plant species that fed into Darwin's thinking on evolution. Here we are at the old main gate, which now leads onto Trumpington Road. This is the original gate from the old Botanic Garden in the centre of Cambridge City. On the first day of the garden opening in 1846, the tree here was planted. It's a European lime tree which is now 175 years old. This is a giant redwood, the tallest tree in the garden. It is a fantastic example of living laboratory. It was the first giant redwood grown anywhere in the world outside of its native California. It's still growing strong, 170 years on. This tree here, the Dawn Redwood, is also interesting, as the plant species was thought to be extinct. It was known from fossil records and was thought to have become extinct about 5 million years ago. Then, in the 1930s, it was discovered growing happily in a grove in China. Harvard funded an expedition to harvest these trees. In the party was a Cambridge graduate. On his way back to America, he met a sailor heading back to Britain and asked him to pass the seeds to the director of Cambridge Botanic Garden. It was the first of this species planted anywhere outside of its native range. This iconic fountain was designed by David Mellor. It was completed in 1970 and is one of the few 20th century insertions into the original 1846 landscape. The fountain consists of 7 large discs like giant water lily leaves, cast in bronze and arranged on several levels. The bubbling columns of water echo the vertical forms of the neighbouring giant redwoods and incense cedars. The glasshouse range is iconic here in the garden and is full of a variety of wonderful plants. The glasshouse range offers year-round interest and includes plants ranging from diminutive high-altitude alpines to impressive tropical trees. Each of the glasshouses in the range is themed to highlight plant adaptations, habitats and associations in a diversity of environments. The limestone rock garden was constructed during the winters of 1954 to 58 using rock from Milnthorpe in Cumbria. The rocks, some weighing up to 3 tons, were positioned using winches and a block and tackle system to create an open, sunny, well-drained habitat for the cultivation of alpine plants. Once constructed, the planting was laid out geographically to represent the mountain floras of Europe, Asia, America, South Africa and Australasia. The lake was created around an old gravel pit in the cornfield which became the Botanic Garden in 1846. The roughly U-shaped lake was dug out and the soil mounded up in the centre to form a peninsula, which now protects the bog garden. The lake allows the Botanic Garden to grow marginal and aquatic plants, including water lily, reeds, flag iris and bog bean. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed your virtual tour of the Cambridge Botanic Garden. I'll be back with you tomorrow when we'll be taking a punt down the River Cam and enjoying some of the most spectacular views of Cambridge. Have a great day and see you tomorrow.